shower. Chris Hess and Simply Solar in the studio after I may or may not have pushed him back a couple of minutes. Thanks for being a team player, Chris. How are we doing this morning?
It's a fantastic morning.
You know, is it still cloudy out there and gloomy?
It is.
Yeah, it's okay.
It is.
That's all right, because if you have a good solar company, it doesn't matter if there's clouds in the sky for a day or not, you're still going to have good power getting to your home.
That's right. We make enough power on the good days to compensate for the bad days.
I love it, man. Chris, how did you get into the solar industry?
Very interesting. Most people are familiar with having suppliers on their electric bill, so I used to broker electric and natural gas.
Oh, wow.
An opportunity came up here to look around about 7 years ago, this Illinois Shines program, and came up here just to explore, and I never left. It's a phenomenal program. Ameren literally pays customers to get solar put on their home in addition to the federal tax credits, and being in energy for 13 years, it was a pretty seamless transition.
No, I got to ask you this because I've talked solar before a little bit, but not this in depth. And whenever you're explaining that to somebody and going through some of the benefits of solar, do they almost go, "Wait, man, this is too good to be true. You can't tell me this."
On almost every appointment, they think it's too good to be true.
That's what fascinates me, because I know when I talk to folks and we have the conversation, do I want to go solar? Maybe do I want to get a couple of panels, see what happens? That's normally the initial thought is, I just can't believe that all of this is getting thrown my way.
Yep. It's a fact. The federal government has always had an incentive, 30% of the federal tax credit and so of the cost of the system, but the utilities are forced to have to meet an energy requirement. And Illinois chose the path to, instead of building the majority of their own solar, let's pay the customers and see how it goes. And it's turned out to be a great thing when a customer can get anywhere from $10,000 to $25,000, directly from the utility for putting solar on their home. That's the shot in the arm that a homeowner needed to start putting solar on.
100%. And now, when did you get established here in the Riverbend area here with Simply Solar?
It was about 2016. We actually came here with a company called Excel Home Solar. We were based in Bethalto, right next to the McDonald's there, for about 5 years, and the company sold. And so I live here now. So what we decided to do is, do a couple different things well. I mean, not all solar companies do commercial well. Not all of them do residential well. So what we do now is I work with different installation companies to provide the best experience depending on the application of the project.
Really cool. Going a little bit more in depth for me on that. So what type of industry do you cover? Do you encompass it all and just provide that service?
Everything, agricultural, residential. For instance, we just installed Arlington Greens Golf Course, 260 kilowatts. The only electric bill that golf course is going to receive moving forward is about $30 per month. Spencer T. Olin Golf Course is under construction right now, and we've got Nautilus Fitness Center following up right behind that. We've got hundreds of residential installs over the years. We've been here a long time, and we know how to navigate the process.
Man, that's impressive. I mean, and what I think is really great for the public to know, too, is the fact that when you have numerous institutions that are recognized not only by the region, but, the Metro East as a whole, Spencer T. Owen's one of the most premier golf courses around, and they're going, hey, Simply Solar is the way we're going. What better testament than that?
Amen. Amen. We're very grateful to be there, too.
One thing I wanted to ask you before we go, right into the ins and outs of solar is that sometimes I feel like, and not just sometimes, all the time, solar gets kind of a bad rap because you get these folks that come in from out of town and they're really aggressive solicitors that knock on doors and kind of almost force their way into the home. And to me, it puts a stain on the industry because you have folks like yourself who are providing services to so many, institutions around here. And then, you're still on the same flip side of that, having to deal with, the reputation of a solar industry solicitor, too.
Yeah, that is indeed a fact. Over the last couple of years, the bigger companies have gotten wind that Illinois has some fantastic incentives. So now they come in here, 30, 40, 50 door knockers, and people are literally getting their doors knocked, 2 and 3 times a day.
Right.
The people don't live here. The installers don't live here. Once you've met that salesman, it's unlikely you'll ever see him or speak to him again. And that's what we're doing. Us little local solar companies, We're just trying to stay in our lane, let the people know that we're here for the long run. So 2-3 years from now, they have a question or a concern, they're going to be able to get that same person on the telephone.
100%. And now, as we go through timeline of projects, because I'm sure this is not a short game where you're, getting solar put up in a week. If I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. But whenever I make the phone call and say, hey, I want someone to come out and take a look at what I have going on, I have this interest. How long does that process normally run, start to finish?
Depending on the scope of the project, you should be installed about 90 to 120 days from the day you sign the paperwork.
That's not bad at all.
No, it's not that bad. Some companies, they come in here and they tell you 2 to 4 weeks, and it's not even realistic. I mean, the jurisdictions here, don't operate that fast, and then they turn around and there's 6 to 8 month installs. So.
Well, and see, that's where where that light comes back in on the, the industry, because you're getting told 2 to 4 weeks. And even though, as a solar person, that ain't going to happen. For us at home, we're going, man, this is great. In 4 weeks, I'm going to have solar. And then you keep getting pushed off, or you keep getting delayed. Well, and that's, again, that communication and transparency issue that you guys address each and every day with your clients.
Yeah. And, just to take a little bit of the pressure off, some of the local jurisdictions and even Ameren themselves were not prepared for the inundation of solar. I mean, it gets a little overwhelming. They've got hundreds, if not thousands of installs, moving at any given point in time. So, to be on the conservative side, 90 to 120, and you should be up and running.
And, take me through your guys' process, too. Whenever your team gets going, what's that look like? Whenever someone picks up the phone going, hey, we have a project to complete or we have this to do, take us through some of that work.
Okay, the first thing that we need to begin is a customer's electric bill. Most of the electric bills have a bar graph on the front page that shows the annual consumption. That's what we need. We pull up the house on the software. We see, the orientation of the roof and try to determine what's going to fit. The second part of the conversation is, how do people intend to finance the system? Some people are fortunate enough that they can pay cash. Other people have to, 90% of the customers have to use a lender. In the past couple of years, interest rates have gone a little bit wonky. There's a new product out there called a power purchase agreement. It's become very popular. The customer doesn't have to take a loan for it and so forth. But that's basically the start, So once we've got that information, we come and we meet with you face to face, and we talk about what your options are, and what's going to be best for you long-term and short-term. From there, if you decide to pull the trigger on it, you go right into engineering. We show you what it's really physically going to look like on the roof. And that's really what takes the time to get to install.
One thing I wanted to ask, too, about that is the roof question in general, because I know that there's so many, not so many, but there's a different level of, some folks say, hey, if your roof's over 10 years old, you got to get a new roof. If it's over 12, new roof. For you guys, what's the safety net for roofs and what can support and what we need to do?
Basically, in our opinion, if your roof is only about 10 or 12 years old, I say put the solar up. Okay, because first of all, anything that you cover with the solar is going to be protected from the elements moving forward.
Really?
Okay?
See, I did not know that. Okay.
Yeah, the solar panels take all the abuse, the rain, the sleet, the snow, the UV rays. The solar panels are going to absorb that.
Not being funny, I thought there was at least some way where water could kind of get in between because of just setting on top. That's interesting. Had no idea.
Yeah, water will still flow down from the peak of the roof and so forth, but the direct hit, that's over with.
That makes sense.
Now let's say your roof is 20 to 25 years old. We recommend doing the roof in the process of the solar. Most of our financial products can incorporate that into the project. So that's how we usually handle that.
Or you just call right after a hailstorm and hope your insurance agent's in a good mood that day too.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we've had our fair share of them recently.
Have you too? And now, do you notice? And this is something I've wondered too. Whenever a hail comes in or some type of storm that causes roof damage, is that whenever folks, if they've already kind of had the interest, they go, well, we got to get the roof now anyway. Let's go ahead and call the solar company and see if we can do. Is that the case?
Yeah, that does happen. Because in fact, it's one of the common excuses. The customers will say, well, I'm just waiting for a hailstorm, to tell my insurance company give me a new roof. And I get it. I live here, so I might be inclined to do the same thing. Yeah, it's a common objection.
Being here in the Riverbend region, before we go back into solar, I got to take a quick break, but we aren't going anywhere because we got a lot more to talk about. Just take me through your thoughts on the region, some of the folks you've got to work work with, some of the connections you make, because I've seen that you go to golf tournaments and, you're trying to be a part, you are a part of the community and going to do things. What's your thoughts on the Riverbend region and just their open arms to Simply Solar?
We're very blessed. I'll say that we're very blessed. We do support, some specific organizations. Zion Lutheran School
Wonderful.
in Bethalto is one that we're very happy about. There's one called the Restore Network, works with homeless children. We like to be a part of that as well. And we are also actively looking for other charitable organizations to support. That is also another feature of what we do, is we believe in giving back to the community that we serve.
100%. The time's 10:25 and Chris ain't going anywhere. We got more to talk about with Simply Solar. I just got to pay a quick bill. 9:25 will 9:25. I do get paid, Chris. 10:25 will come back. More of our daily show. Hit you next right after this on RiverBender. Yeah, that's right.
I set the thermostat so my house would be warm when I got home from work, but the kitchen is still cool.
At Barrett Heating and Cooling, we stand behind every Linux system we sell.
My dealer said he'd take care of everything.
At Barrett Heating and Cooling, we understand everyone wants prompt, professional service.
Turns out it wasn't my furnace after all, just a little something blocking the vent.
Pretty smart dog if you ask me. For service you can count on, call Barrett Heating and Cooling.
Lennox, innovation never felt so good.
You won't find a better health club than Nautilus Fitness Center. More cardio, more free weights and equipment, more classes, a swimming pool, and more. If you're serious about your health and want to make a change, then stop thinking about it and visit Nautilus Fitness Center on Industrial Drive in Alton. Don't fall for the hype you get from the other health clubs. Nautilus is the Riverbend's premier health club. Has been for years and will be for years to come. Get to Nautilus Fitness Center and get started on a healthier new you.
DJ Mike Heath.
This is where I am today. Let me show you where I started.
Life's better when you're under our roof. That's because our expert agents will make you feel totally protected with the right auto and home coverage at the right price. Also, you can enjoy the dreams you've worked so hard to achieve. American Family Insurance.
For the biggest selection of pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs in the Riverbend, visit AltonToyota.com or stop by their location on the Homer Adams Parkway in Alton. Winner of the prestigious President's Award, Mungan Burkhardt Alton Toyota knows how to treat their customers, and they will help you find the vehicle that is perfect for you. For years, Mungan Toyota has been a fixture in the Riverbend, and now Mungan Burkhardt carries the tradition. New name, but the same great service you've come to expect.
You're listening to Our Daily Show with CJ Nasello on RiverBender.com.
Even if they say you're wrong, well, it's alright. Sometimes you gotta be strong. Well, it's alright. As long as you got somewhere to lay, well, it's alright.
10:28, welcome back. Daily Show on a Monday, hit you. Simply Solar. Chris Hess back in studio, man. How are getting back to the conversation? We were talking about your installation and kind of how that company breakdown works. So just for the folks at home, you're going to be the one that kind of alleviates and liaisons a lot of this conversation, but you guys don't do the install, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, and now what do you look for when you look at different solar companies out there and their install teams? Is there some folks that you work with that you trust and kind of go through that type of a vetting process?
Absolutely. On the residential side, we're looking for companies that have very good communication with the customers, yep. Okay? And they don't set the expectations to something that they cannot reach, okay? The fact that they're local is a very big deal because I have to trust them. I'm putting my name on the line with them as well. So it's very important that they've got, that they're meeting the expectations of the customers. On the commercial side, another local company out of Litchfield, been working with for 7 years. It just comes down to the scope of the project, because I think, like I said earlier, not everybody can build a 300 kilowatt solar system, get it through city zoning and things of that nature. And that takes a lot of face time.
Well, now it's all connecting too, because when we were talking about that earlier, I was trying to connect A and B, but now I do. And this is a really safe bet for a lot of folks that maybe are nervous about solar. If you call Simply Solar, you know that they have a team of individuals, whether, not it's in their company or not, but installers that you guys know and trust. And that's kind of a lot of the hard work out of the way for that prospective client.
That's right.
That's really cool. And now, if there's been times that maybe folks call you and go, Chris, man, I got a bad, taste in my mouth from a different solar opportunity and it didn't turn out well. And have you been able to kind of change their mind on the industry?
Yes. When you've done thousands of installs, there's going to be some hiccups along the road.
Right.
And people tend to understand that. What it comes down to is who's going to fight for you to make it correct.
Right.
Are we just going to try to push you off and say, hey, thanks for your business, but we're good, we're done with you? No, that's not what we're about. And the companies that we work with, they feel the same way.
It's just incredible. I mean, this is really great, though, because there's so many folks that want to do solar, or they're very interested in doing solar, but there's just that hesitancy because of those out-of-towners that come in, and it cripples folks for a couple of months, because you're right, the door knocking doesn't stop. You're like, just get away from me. But whenever, we're listening here, and that you have an advocate for you, number one, somebody that has some of the best individuals in his portfolio to work on your job, whether or not it's residential, agriculture related, or some type of commercial work, Simply Solar has those tools in the toolbox, and all of our hard work's kind of done. We just picked up the phone and called. That kind of makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, we do get a fair amount of phone calls from people who have already signed up for solar. The transaction happens so quickly with these door knocking guys and so forth that literally the salesman leaves the house and the homeowners are going, "What did we just do?" So then they're looking, that's when they get a little bit scared, and then they call, us or another local company. There's only a couple of us that are actually local, and they just want to know if they did the right thing. And if you've done the right thing, and I think it's right, I'll tell you to roll with it. But if it's not, we will also help you find a way out.
And that's really good to know, too. And that's what I think it makes it such an easy phone call to make, because that's, and not to kind of patronize you, but that's kind of the old Americana way of doing business that kind of fell by the wayside for the last 15 years, it seems like. We were so sales and numbers driven that we didn't do that,
that's a fact.
Appreciation and that support for that client. And it's great to know that you guys do. I mean, that's almost like a flash from the past almost.
Yeah. The tendency with companies, and you're right, in the last 10 or 15 years have been to scale, to get bigger and bigger. And the fact of the matter is that's not the best thing, either for the company or for the client.
100%.
So let's stay in our lane. Let's do a good job. Even if we're only getting a smaller percentage of the market share, there tend to be the happier part of the market share.
Absolutely. Have you guys gotten to the point in the 7 years where, it's word of mouth season for you?
Absolutely.
That's what I wondered, because with solar, it makes sense, because I'm going to trust my neighbor who has it done by that company to give me the referral 9 times out of 10. It makes 100% sense.
Yeah. We've seen in our 7 years here, we've seen many companies come and go.
Yeah.
And we're still standing.
And I don't see it going away anytime soon. Well, while I have you, I got to ask you one topical question, because I'm learning a lot about your process, and for the folks at home, this is great, because now this is cut and dry, A to B transparency of the process and how this Simply Solar works. But for you guys, what was one of the You can wait. I don't know who just told me to.
Siri's blowing him up.
Siri just told me to answer a privacy agreement. Hold on here. It's the solar company. They wanted me to sign up the door knocker.
Oh, yeah, I know who that was. That's right.
Do you want to sign up for solar? But what's the most interactive and most entertaining, not entertainment, most enjoyed project you've been able to work on, from all the way down from agriculture, all the things that you've been a part of? Just from your process, was there one that you kind of always remember?
Yeah, actually, good Lord, it's a ranch down in Highland. It's a horse ranch, and because I get to see some cool stuff.
Right.
It's actually the most fun part of my job
is going
to someone's home, meeting them, getting to know them. But, when we sat out here, we did this whole thing in the stables. We've got the horse there nibbling on your shoulder, and stuff like that. You can't really make it up. If it's there's just never a bad day when you love what you're doing. And the people that I get to meet in the course of my life, it's a lot of fun.
And now, let me ask you about the different types of folks. I would assume it's a pretty diverse group that pick up the phone and call. It's not really just a one demo. Is it normally one group of folks, or is it getting to the point where it's more diversified and just reaching out and wanting to know more questions?
Well, first of all, very rarely should it ever be what we call a one-call close.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Because in most cases, I mean, you get to the home, sometimes they already know they want it. They just need to know the information and they move forward. But the most of the time, it's getting shoved down their throat, and then that's when they get a little bit of buyer's remorse, coming out of it.
Yeah.
And question: did we do the right thing? And we don't want people to feel like that. What was the back end of the question?
Well, it's just the different diverse groups as I wanted to know, because I would at first it seemed like it was middle-aged folks that were kind of looking to add this to it. Are you starting to see maybe a different range of individuals interested in this?
There's a big misperception that that solar is kind of a rich man's toy,
right?
And in the beginning, for a longest time, up until about 5 years ago, that was the impression. Most people were like, "Oh, we can't afford solar. I'm just a little guy," and blah 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 blah. But the fact is they've made it that this is affordable for just about everybody. So the demographic really doesn't matter if people can just get over the fear of the unknown, have the conversation, and realize that the benefit of this thing is a 25 to 30 year benefit.
Yeah.
I mean, if you could get down to $10 a month for the next 25 years on your electric bill, where is the bad in that?
Well, you're 100% right, and anyone that can try to argue that'd be interesting to kind of see see for myself. And I was just going through, and folks, as we're wrapping this up, Simply Solar Illinois. That's Simply Solar Illinois, all one word, online, and you can go through. I don't do this very often, but I want you guys to see the website here really quick before we talk to Mary Cordes. This is some of the jobs that you guys have been able to do, and just clicking in from just a normal home, and then going back to which one was this?
No, that was one of my favorites. It's a beautiful backyard. That shows elegance with technology.
It does, and it doesn't look gaudy. I mean, this is good equipment that it actually adds to the aesthetic appeal of the home. And then going down to even
that one there with the barn. That is one of my most favorite installs. This was an elderly couple out of Edwardsville. The husband and wife. This is going back about 6 years, I think. The husband did this because, they were in their 80s.
Yeah.
Okay. And I actually tried to talk them out of it to make sure at their age this was the right thing.
Right.
And the husband said, "I'm doing this because should something happen to me, I want my wife to be protected." It makes me a little weepy to talk about it. Unfortunately, he passed away last year.
Oh, no.
So when I look at that, that's actually one of the pictures I have hanging in my office, because that gives me the warm and fuzzies about what I do for a living.
And you know what? Just hearing that passion and just hearing all of that, that ticks off every box for me when I look for a company, because it's not just doing the job and going, "Oh, yeah, I did it." When you remember it and you live it, and, just hearing that, it's good to know that Simply Solar is not just dedicated to the solar industry. They're dedicated to the community and all of you. You can find out more information on simplysolarilinois.com. That's simplysolarilinois.com. Or if you give Chris a call, just say, "Hey, I listened to you right there on our daily show." 1038, Chris, thanks so much for your time.
Solar door knockers, go away. Buy local.
That's right. We're had enough of you, and we're going to do our best to make sure it happens.